And now Dan Geltrude also with you, sir. He's the managing director of Geltrude and Company. Dan, good to see you. That conversation here, the markets just opened some 21 minutes ago. We're seeing some good stuff. We're off to a good start.
Yeah, we are off to a good start, and I think that relates to that we are getting some positive news on multiple fronts. First and foremost, we're seeing that the governors and the president are all having the discussion related to starting to open things up again, which is critical to get this economy rolling. And we're also seeing some promising news related to medicines and vaccines and how to treat this coronavirus. So right now we're pointed in the right direction. We're certainly not out of the woods, but I think Wall Street is seeing that as positive signs and reacting accordingly.
Dan, I just want to fire back at you really quick here. You talk about this, a lot of these things that happen, such as the situation of us opening up the country, get baked into the markets. But what about this business of the payroll protection program? And these small businesses have ran out of ways to apply for a loan to get money from the government. They're not going to get assistance. It doesn't look good at this point because you don't have Congress passing anything right now to get them more money. Is that already baked into Wall Street?
I think Wall Street understands that the PPP program has to get passed. There's no question about that. We're going to have a little bit of a tug of war going on, but I can't imagine ultimately they're not going to get together and have those funds allocated for small businesses. And keep this in mind too, Shaun, those funds that they say are, gone, they haven't even gone out yet. I can't tell you how many clients I've assisted in this process. No one has the money yet. That's all just earmarked. So there's still time for Congress to get together and keep this program rolling. So do I like what's happening? No. Do I think it's going to get resolved? Yes. And I think that the markets also understand that.
Kirby, I want to bring you in on.
Joining us to discuss, Dan Geltrude, Managing Director of Geltrude and Company, and Kirby Wilbur, host of the Kirby Wilbur Show out in Seattle, Washington. Dan, we'll start with you. Good to see both of you guys this morning. Yesterday we learned that the PPP ran out of funds for small businesses. So what about those businesses who didn't apply in time? Now they're looking on the website and they're getting rejected from even filling out an application. What can they do?
Yeah, it's a tough situation, Emma, and I think there isn't a lot they can do at this point until Congress is able to get together to re-up those funds. I know Steve Mnuchin is talking about trying to put another $250 billion in place for small businesses. It's needed. It's got to be done. And I think at this point, it's just a waiting game, unfortunately.
Right. It seems like we are all waiting for some more action from our politicians. In the meantime, we've heard that governors are now able to authorize when they will be able to open up their states again. Of course, that's based on following recommendations from the president's administration in regards to completing all the right phases before moving on. Kirby, we'll bring you in. You're in Washington. You're in Seattle. Of course, that was close to where this outbreak in the U.S. We heard a major outbreak there when it first all started. Tell us what Washington's like right now.
Well, Washington is very quiet. I go into work because I'm in media. The roads are quiet. Nobody's riding. A lot of people staying home. There's some unrest here, Emma, though, because people want to go back to work and they want to get back. And we've had 600,000 unemployed filed in the last 4 weeks. That's 1,000 unemployed for every person who's died from the coronavirus here. And I don't want to minimize tragedy and death, but unemployment brings its own health issues with suicide, increased suicide, depression, alcoholism, drug addiction. We've got to find a balance here. And the president yesterday more or less left in the hands of the governors. And I know that the PPP program is very important, but there's a lot the governors can do, too, in terms of tax cuts, regulatory reform. The state governments can do a lot to help relieve small business and the burden right now. And I think all too often they're looking to Washington, D.C., saying, you do it. I think it's time the state step forward, started coming forward with the programs to help these business people get back to work.
Well, Kirby, you mentioned unemployment, and this is record numbers that we're seeing. We saw the jobless claims filed yesterday, just shocking data there. 22 million now unemployed. Dan, how can some of these people try to get back some money, beyond just filing for unemployment? Are there other outlets that would be able to provide some financial relief?
Well, you do have your state unemployment, which has always existed, and the federal government has put a layover on that of another $600 a week. So between the two, the unemployment benefits are quite good. I think the main thing people need to do is to see what opportunities there's going to be post-coronavirus, because the economy is going to change. The world is going to change. We're going to go back to normal, but it's going to be a new normal. So I have been telling people, be proactive right now. Look at what is going to be out there as the world has changed. Try to seize a new opportunity.
Right. Kirby, I'm assuming in Seattle and Washington, you've got lots of small businesses out there trying to make it in the city, as we do across America right now. Do you think they'll be able to make it through this time if the state's government doesn't reopen soon enough?
It's going to be very tough, Emma. We have a lot of listeners in the show who are small business people who have already closed shop. A lot of restaurants have already closed shop. Some are trying to make it with takeout and delivery, but they just aren't able to do that. And if we don't start moving quickly, we're going to lose a large portion of our small business community that won't be able to come back. And I just think there's a case to be made for a phased-in approach here in the state. We have hot areas where there are a lot of infections, a lot of deaths. We have areas of the state where there are no deaths. And I think we don't need a one-size-fits-all approach from Washington. Don't need a one-size-fits-all approach from our state capitals either. The governors need to be working with local officials. Where is it safe to open up? What can we do and get the economy going? Because this mass unemployment, you mentioned 22 million people. Most of them, Emma, have lost their jobs in the past 4 weeks. That's pretty sudden. And
I know.
big shock.
I hate to interrupt you right now. We got to go. We're cut for time. But good to hear from both of you, Dan Geltrude and Kirby Wilbur. Guys, thanks so much. Still to come, President Trump